Welcome to another episode of Courageous Healing. I am the producer and co-host, Victor Escalante, and joining me in the studio today is Adele George. Adele, welcome back.
Hey, Victor, it's great to be here.
How are you doing today?
I'm good, I'm really good. It's a little bit overcast today, so it's a nice quiet day. So I'm doing okay.
You're moving into the 29th year since your ordeal. Soon, before you know it, it'll be 30 years.
I know.
How are you feeling about this time of the year?
This year I'm very introspective, with the book coming out, with the documentary coming out. It's been a very introspective year, and it's actually been very interesting because I've kind of gone all the way back to when everything ended and just kind of done a look at my life from up until now and just really coming to a sense of gratitude and a sense of appreciation, which I've always had. But when you realize that it's been 29 years and you realize the life that you built and the life that I have today, it takes my breath away. It really, really does.
Most people overestimate what they can do in decade, but they underestimate all the positive change they can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, Adele, what are we going to talk about today?
Now that you bring that up, I think, in the last episode, one of the things that we brought up was just like what life was like for me after.
Yes.
So I think that we can talk a little bit more about that, navigating it from a mental health situation, and even diving into your experience in the same time frame after you got out and what life was like for you, so that we can give our listeners an understanding of, even if they're a few years out or if they're like immediately out, they're where they're supposed to be, and that there's a process that happens naturally in some ways.
Absolutely. So, listeners, what Adele is referring to is I was in a religious cult for 2 decades, and it was a very ugly and messy separation because I wanted to study psychology, and this was my earliest training in NLP. And the leaders of the church told me that that was against God's will, and that I shouldn't do that. That was secular. That was Satan's world that I was diving into. Of course, by then I already realized these people are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind that I had built my life inside this religious cult. I was married to a woman that was a third generation member of this cult. And so I had built my business also with a lot of business ties to the cult. So I'm a little strange in the sense that I actually like terminations, Adele. I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
you feel about it, but but I actually like endings because endings is the start of a new episode, a new adventure, a new era. So while it ended very ugly, I was actually ready to move on because I had done extensive research. And there was no doubt in my mind that I needed to move on and I needed to get away. So the first thing that I did, similar to your path, Adele, is I decided to put some distance from me and the people because I could totally relate to what you were describing. I would go to a restaurant and I would see members of that church sitting there, and of course they would see me, and I knew they were talking about me. So it's awkward to live in the same town where you had somewhat of a high profile, and again, people are looking at you and whispering behind your back and what have you. So I was living in San Antonio at the time. So I decided to get the hell away as far as I could. So I got a job in El Paso, which was 12 hours away. And so I started a new life, totally new life. Nobody knew me there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to work again. starting fresh with a new life, kind of like you, Adele,
Mhm.
was liberating. It was exciting. It was exhilarating. Totally new experiences that I would not have had I stayed in that dysfunctional, miserable existence in that marriage that I ended up divorcing my ex-wife because I knew there was no hope. I had told her that she needed to be in therapy, and she agreed to go initially, but then she backed out and she says, I'm not going. Okay. And so at that point, I knew there was no hope. Now, the deciding factor for me, Adele, to divorce was I have a right to be happy. Okay. And I will never be happy if nothing changes. So I had been in that marriage for 15 years. And so I ended it. I sold my house. I ended up getting this new job. I totally started from scratch, again, not knowing anybody. And so, of course, I went about my business for about a solid year. I dedicated my time, energy, and resources to succeeding at this job. I attained the level of success that I was very proud of myself and comfortable with. And then I decided to get back to my love of NLP. So I found a local training center that I visited with the owner. And of course, we had a lot of shared things in common because, again, we spoke the same language. We knew all of the history of his way of practicing and teaching NLP, and I was very familiar with it already. So he invited me to join him just as a guest, and of course, I some of the students took notice right away, and so they invited me to teach them my own style of NLP, which of course created friction with the owner of the institute, and eventually they would all gravitate to me because I happen to have a broader understanding and practice because he had only been in teaching for like 1 or 2 years, where I already had like 5 years under my belt, and I had done extensive trainings. So so that was exciting, and of course, one of those students of his was a director in adult probation, and that's how I got into working with offenders because
Mhm.
she asked me to put on a pilot program. She says, Victor, I know the power of NLP. I know you're very good at what you do. Would you be willing to put on a pilot program? I said, sure, I'd love to do that. So we put on a pilot program for 9 weeks to teach NLP, mind you, to offenders. Okay. Now, these are people that a lot of them have no education, Adele. They barely finish high school, never read another book after they left school. They had a criminal history already, broken homes, dysfunction, what have you, drug abuse, gang members. And from this pilot program, halfway through, we begin to see the positive changes. Women begin showing up with makeup, whereas when we started, everybody was solidly dressed. They started showing up neat, on time, and they started reporting positive change in their lives. And so after the 9 week pilot program, we had testimonials and proof that this was something that was unique and different. And that's where I got a 1 year contract with adult probation that was renewed year to year. And I ended up doing that for 10 years. So I had not completely healed myself. I realized that. And so whenever I would have an issue, personal issue that would rear its head, I would turn to a group of friends that were therapists. They were licensed therapists in the El Paso market, and I would work on my issues with them. One of the biggest ones was forgiveness. That I had not completely. I had left San Antonio but I had never really processed all the anger that I had. Listeners, just to kind of give you some nuance and context, my ex-wife had been unfaithful with me with one of the church leaders. Okay,
Mhm.
and when this came to light, she and the elder in the church got a slap in the hand, and I was excommunicated because I was practicing NLP, working on victims that were suicidal, mind you. Okay, yeah. So the change that I was making was I was it was very notorious, and of course, people were talking about how they were feeling great. And what I began to notice, Adele, is that the church teachings were directly responsible for some of the emotional and mental health issues that they were faced with. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, I didn't openly come out and say that, but because again, I knew that I was in a precarious situation and I didn't want to make any more waves, but that's what happened. So, because of that injustice, I was holding on to a lot of anger for a lot of years. And little by little, just like you process your own trauma, I began to process my own,
Mhm.
to find my own, to reinvent myself. And if I wasn't a member of this cult now, I was totally free to completely reinvent myself, consider all my options, and I never look back.
Yeah, and I like that. What I like about your story is that you saw the opportunity
Yes,
and you took it. And I think that one of our I think as humans one of our biggest fears is change. And when it comes to, it's not only just change, it's big change. Because you hear a lot of people put their foot down and they're like, I don't like change. I don't like it when they get mad when the grocery store reorganizes the aisles. I
yes.
get it. It slows you down. But
Mhm.
the thing is that change is inevitable in our lives. First of all, first and foremost, just putting your feet on the floor every day, there's going to be something that's going to be different.
And just accepting it, that you can't fight it. You can fight it, but it's a losing battle because
And yeah,
because we cannot hang on to change. We cannot stop change. Change is happening whether we like it or we don't.
well, and exactly. But I think the thing that I think for your situation that's a little smidge different than mine was obviously that you made the decisions to leave and you got kicked out and all this stuff. And that you made the decision to move, sell your house and move away and all of that stuff. So but the thing is that people don't often do that. They're afraid that of upending their lives in for the better.
Yes,
They play they I find, and I know you do too, especially now with your Escalante Mind Rico, people replay worst case scenarios.
yes,
And so we're not a society that thinks, and I'm going to use it more in the cliche form. We're not a society that thinks positive. We're not an I have always called myself forever an optimist.
hmm,
I've always been a person who has optimistically looked at life. Because, in my early 20s, obviously my life got upended and I had everything in front of me. And I just wasn't going to approach the world in a way where I didn't believe that there wasn't a possibility for something for me. And so I think that, and I've heard it, you've heard it, where we've seen it, we've witnessed it. Sometimes ending relationships, leaving jobs, moving cities, making those big decisions paralyze people, and they don't realize that they need to be congratulated for being at that point and then congratulated when they make that decision, and that making that decision is what's going to actually give them the opportunity. It's a launch pad of it, but you have to be comfortable with the unknown and
yes,
not knowing how things are going to happen. And people don't like change, and they don't like not knowing. And
yes,
we have to, as a society, become more comfortable with the not knowing?
In my first book, Adele, I wrote the words of a former Jesuit. That book is a memoir of James Miles, who was a Jesuit. And he would have this saying, to trust the unknown. Basically, he called it the mystery. That was the word that he used, is trust the mystery, find the magic in the mystery. Not knowing everything, not knowing how everything is going to turn out, can actually be liberating, because there is those magical moments and magical encounters that we have with new people, new situations, new growth, new skills that we acquire, and new opportunities that we exploit as a result of moving into the mystery, as opposed to staying stuck in our jail, in our in our cage,
And choosing
that
and
never changes. Yeah,
yeah, and choosing to shut off.
yeah,
And the reason I think a lot of people do this is because they really want to choose an easy life.
yes,
All they want is to be able to live comfortably and exist. And we talk about this. You got your birth year and you got your death year, and you have that dash in the middle. And
hmm,
the important thing is what you do in that dash,
yes,
how you live. And I don't know that these people truly are living. When you choose to stay in a situation and not make a big decision. And sometimes the big decisions are easy, and you still choose not to do it, or you
yeah,
stick with a job because you're afraid to leave it because it sucks and you don't want to move on, because the money's good.
yeah,
But why? Instead, my question to them then becomes, but what if there's something even greater, better still that's
yes.
out there for you, that you're holding yourself back?
I call
And
it
we know,
being domesticated, because we become domesticated to a job, to the security. And that is the biggest trap, that again, throughout my life, I have fallen into that. And it's truly liberating for you to be able to not have a ceiling on your earnings, to be able to choose what you want to do, to work with you who you want to work with, to have the freedom to fire clients if you don't want to work with them.
right?
It's totally liberating, that most people never know until they take that big leap. You made me
You
think
can
of
still,
something.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you can still have that liberation working for someone else as well.
Yeah,
And just be working for someone who truly appreciates your skills and is
yes,
willing to,
absolutely,
to pay you.
absolutely. So, in listening to you, I was reminded that from time to time, I would actually take clients, Adele, to a cemetery and have them face their own mortality, because they are so swamped with all kinds of negative concepts, that if you try to do therapy on all their problems, Adele, one, they don't have years of commitment to work through those issues, and two, they don't have the money that it takes in order to do that kind of work. So rather than trying to fix the story, what I try to do is I get them to end it. It's like I get them to a cemetery, and I help them find the grave of someone that was born around the same time as they were, and how they're dead. Okay. They died prematurely, and I get them to do a lot of self reflection, because it could be them. Okay. You're listening to Courageous Healing Podcast. We'll be right back.
Big news! The inspiring book, Courageous Healing, is now available in print, ebook, and audiobook. No matter how you like to read or listen, you can now experience the powerful story and life-changing insights inside this book. Don't wait. Start your journey of healing and transformation today. Order your copy now and take the first step toward your courageous healing.
We now return you to the Courageous Healing Podcast.
And they should be thankful that it's not. And the net result that typically happens from taking someone to the cemetery, after I take them through this introspective intervention, is they really walk away very appreciative of the life that they do have because they weren't valuing it. They were so focused on all the pain and all the misery that they had, and all of the rumination about their past, that they couldn't see any path forward because they were so stuck on the past.
Yeah. And the interesting thing that as you're talking about that, this is what I'm thinking about, is the fact that the society as a whole has very little value on life.
Yes.
And that there are people out there that if somebody in somebody's existence doesn't have value, then they view that person's existence shouldn't just be there.
Right.
So there's a challenge when people don't really, the notion of death is, they don't understand or fully grasp the concept that death is ending. So in other words, like, by dying, you can no longer live the life that you have on this planet.
Yes.
So instead of and there's all those people out, there's been people out there that have interviewed people on their deathbeds, and they're all like, what did you wish that you could have done? And my point is that we take life for granted in a different, in a way where when death is upon us, or when death happens, it stops. Life stops, and it ceases to exist. And it's our job as humans living on this planet to live our lives to the fullest.
Absolutely.
And to not live in the status quo, and to just not to have these basic desires of just wanting to be happy and have a simple little life. I can respect it, but at the same time, when life is going to throw you challenges and you're not going to be able to make decisions that are going to project you to fall, you're not going to make the right decision that's going to project you forward to an even better life.
Yes.
Because in order to move forward, you often have to leave things behind.
Sure. So I recently took a lady to the cemetery, Adele, that she was totally clueless about what she wanted to do with her life. And she's middle-aged, okay? So time is her enemy now because she hasn't mastered anything. She's in her late 50s. And so again, she needs to really decide what she wants to do with the rest of her life. And so having her face her own mortality was quite an eye-opening for her to realize that if she don't do anything consciously, another 10 years can go by, another 20 years, and that's it. Her life is over.
Yeah, and the thing is that people have a habit of existing on this struggle bus, and they don't realize that sometimes these struggles are presented to you in order for you to change.
They are definitely lessons that you need to work through to extract the consciousness, the awareness of what is the lesson behind the life that you've constructed, so that you can re-engineer your life to one of happiness, to one of ease, to one of simplicity. So many people have such complex lives, Adele, that really life is really simple if you keep it simple.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they have complex lives because they probably have trouble making decisions,
Yes.
or they they live from a place of a mental space of lack. So
Sure.
by living from that mental space of lack, you're going to live in lack because you're not seeing anything other than lack in your surroundings.
Yes.
Where if you live from a place of optimism or a place of prosperity, and we're not in abundance, we're not talking necessarily about money here.
Hmm.
It's money is a part of the equation, but I'm talking about life in general,
Yes.
relationships, freedom of time.
Having a full life, having your heart's desire,
Right.
basically. And again, it doesn't take a lot of money for you to be happy and to have your heart's desire. I like one of your mentors' phrase, Adele, not having to ask your wallet for permission to buy something.
Yeah.
How cool is that? That you can design a life to where you have the basic needs. And again, you don't have to worry about asking your wallet whether you can afford something or not.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that. And it's just, what about relationships and
Yeah.
abundance of friendships and people in your life that, implicitly support you
Yes.
and that are going to be there for you no matter what happens. And that is something else. And so living life from a space of optimism for some reason scares the hell out of people.
Hmm.
It really is the decision of looking at the world differently. It's not like it's not the power of positive thinking like we think. It's very nuanced. It's those internal conversations that you're having with yourself. It's those internal conversations that affect how you see the world and how you move within the world. So you might have this power of positive, or you might seem like an optimistic person, and everything around you is a dumpster fire. You have to go deeper, because the thing is it's your own choices that, and I know that's going to be hard for people to see when they've just lost a job or they're broke or their car's broken down and they don't have anything in their lives. It's hard
But
for them.
that's where you come from. That was the start of your journey to get to where you are today.
Yeah.
And again, if you focus solely on that, then you're not going to be able to move in the direction of opening up to prosperity, opening up to abundance. I want to drill down on something you said that is powerful, is the choice. Making the choice to be happy, make the choice to be prosperous, to have abundance, as opposed to having scarcity.
And let's take this full circle, talking about your story, Victor. The people that surround you in your life are a reflection of your life. And my
Totally.
mentor frequently says the results of your current life,
Hmm.
if you look at the results of your current life, that's what's going to tell you where you are in your life. So
Yes.
in other words, if your life is falling apart, or if you're in a bad relationship, or if things are shitty, then you need to look within yourself and start taking responsibility. And that's what I was trying to get at. It's like you need to start
Yes.
taking responsibility. And you may have people in your life that are contributing to that lower energy, that aren't lifting you up, that aren't supporting you, that aren't encouraging you, and that aren't giving you the another viewpoint. And I mean, you've talked about this before on this podcast about how it was like 2 or 3 years ago you reached out to me and you asked me some questions. I gave you some books and some
Yeah.
resources, and you took advantage of that and you made a decision to shift your life into the life that you have today.
Yes.
And that in itself is like, it can collapse time and it can happen quickly, but you have to not get caught up in how your life is going to change. If you want a better job, hold space for a better job and trust that you're going to get it, and
Yes.
start there.
Right.
Start there. Just start with one thing. Nobody said that you had to try to overhaul your complete life instantaneously. If you can't mentally handle it,
Yeah.
do it. If you
Be
can.
be it already, start believing it, start acting it as though you already had it,
Yes,
because that's where it starts. It's not someday when I have this, or someday when I have that, or someday when I have this education, someday when I have this luxury car. No, it's like it starts today with your mindset.
absolutely. 100% it does. And so you actually, once you exist in that space, you start seeing yourself differently.
Yes,
Energy starts to change, and then you start to see the people in your lives as not fitting with you. And it's sometimes it's time that you separate yourself from maybe your partner, maybe your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and or your job, and or your friends, in order to elevate yourself up. And you can't be afraid.
that's
Now,
exactly right. I just ended a 4-month relationship because I was not happy, because we were so different. We were so different, and we again, my passion for working with others, healing and teaching and training. She was not supportive of this, and so of course we were mismatched in that area. And rather than taking 4 years, 4 months is all it took. Okay, it's
yeah,
like I don't need this in my life because I'm moving in a different direction.
absolutely. And you knew that you had the choice. Was it
Yes,
easy? Absolutely. It's never fun to go through a breakup.
right.
I mean, but it's a necessity. And so I think we need to quit trying to sanitize our lives.
Yes, and
You
trying to
know,
please other people, expecting that somehow by pleasing other people, that our life is going to work out. It's like, how did that work out in previously in all the other relationships where you try to please others?
exactly. And sanitizing your life to the degree that you're removing things in order to try to have this peaceful, not, trying not to have, the more you're going to try not to have upheaval, the more upheaval you're going to actually have.
Totally, totally.
And the more struggle you're going to actually have. Whereas if you were making decisions and choosing to live a life that is bigger than the life that you have right now, you're going to grow your life because you're going to find the opportunities, you're going to see the opportunities. Because the biggest thing is, yes, a lot, this is all within the human potential movement. And a lot of people there's a lot out there that you can see when they talk about the movie The Secret, or they talk about the law of attraction and how it doesn't work, or this, that, and the other. The thing is that it creates, when you shift the way that you see your surroundings and the way that you exist, you will see the world differently and you will see the opportunities.
Totally. That were
You
there all
know,
along, but you had to change the lens through which you were looking at your life.
exactly. And so you have to take that approach in looking at the world through a different set of lenses and going, okay, I'm not happy where I'm at right now. So what would it mean to live a life that I love, and what does that look like?
Yeah.
So then you're like, you know what? I want a new job, and I want my job to appreciate who I am and pay me this amount of money. And I want to be able to have some flexibility so that I can take care of my kids and my husband. Or, I'm, as a husband, I would want to be able to have some flexibility so that I can be there for my kids for their events and not miss out on anything anymore, and be more present in my family's life, and this, that, and the other. And you see that, and when you start to see that, you start to realize, your eyes and your energy opens up. And then all of a sudden, people call it kismet, or they call it fate. Yeah,
Okay.
what's the other word? I'm drawing a blank here.
Destiny.
Destiny, or coincidence.
Okay.
That I wanted a new job and I wanted something better, and coincidentally I got offered this really great job. No, you called in that job.
Yeah.
You called in that
You
job.
desired it so much that your vibe went out before you.
Yes, and you brought that job to yourself. You brought those friends, you brought those relationships, you brought that value
Yes.
into your life. And so this isn't about thinking positive. This is about seeing your life differently. And
Yes.
this It's about living your life from a space where you believe that you can have a better life. And you have to know, and this is something that Bob Proctor talks about, and he's got a million videos on it, that when you're going to change your subconscious in this way to seeing the world, you're going to hit this thing called a terror barrier. And
Yes.
this terror barrier is what you have to cross. That's the hard work. None of this is ever easy, but 100% it's worth it. And eventually you're going to cross right over that thing. You're not going to even realize you did it. And all of a sudden you're going to have a fabulous job and it's going to be great pay and you're going to be appreciated by your bosses. So you have to make a decision for what you want, though. You can't let life
Right.
and other people make the decision for you.
And that's the point where the universe conspires to give you what you want, because again, you did the work. You leaned in totally into your heart desire, and when you put your heart out there as far as what you truly want, what you're meant to do, what really makes you happy, that's when the universe listens. Otherwise, it's just a mental noise that you have without any action.
Yeah. And optimism is the key. Optimism is a really great starting point
Yeah.
and to change and just test it. Test it with one thing.
No
You
one
know,
ever succeeded doing something they hated. So you got to find what you're truly passionate and what you love to do, and just drill down on that and do it very well.
yeah. And when you get to that dash and the end of your dash, whenever that is, that way you will know you've lived your best life.
Yeah, your the epithet on your gravestone is not going to say she died. She died not knowing what her life was about.
Exactly. And then you're going to and I think this is the thing that makes Victor and I so passionate about what it is that we do about courageous healing, about NLP, about human potential, Escalante Mind Recode, all of the workshops and things that I'm going to do, all the speaking that I'm doing.
Totally.
The thing that makes this so important to us is that we're passionate about you living a better life because we live amazing lives.
Yes, and nothing excites us more than to see your success. For people to tell me how they took the chance, they did as I told them, and they're having a great change in their life, that just makes it all worthwhile.
It does. And, again, if you walk up to me and you say, I got fired from my job and I tell you, congratulations, don't get mad at me.
Yeah.
It's because I see the potential.
Sure.
Again, I love and I think this is the great thing about both of us is that we're forever optimistic.
Totally.
We might be a little sarcastic, but we're forever optimistic.
Yes.
And we truly believe not only in our lives, but in the lives of others, and that you guys can have the things. And this is why courageous healing in the book became so important to both of us. It
Yes.
wasn't just about telling my story. That's the most important part. But the secondary portion of that is how important it is to both of us that healing is something that we're talking about.
Totally. Absolutely. Well, what do you think, Adele? Is that enough show? We
Another
rambled
fire
about,
hose for everybody to drink from.
yeah, we rambled about a lot of things, but I think it was an important conversation we needed to have, and to really tell more of my story, that the journey is not easy, but it's not impossible. It's like you gotta drill down, you gotta do the uncomfortable, because that is the only path towards healing and liberating yourself
100%.
to
100%.
have the best life you can have.
Absolutely. I
All
agree.
right, we're gonna have to leave it there, friends. Until next week, go out and have a great week.
Bye, guys.